Coming up on an all-new episode of the Hoodlum Show. Blood. Jeffrey.
Hey, so I was wondering if you have N64 games.
Do not fund artificial intelligence.
All this and more on an all-new episode of the Hoodlum Show. Oh yeah.
Good day, everyone! We've defeated Sonic creepypastas, we've destroyed Mario creepypastas, and today, we're decimating Zelda creepypastas. Oh yes, the franchise where no one over the age of 60 can get the name of the main character right. Oh, is that Zelda, son? No, Grandma, that's Link! Also, I'm a girl. Wait, what? You're a girl? Did you just assume my gender? Anyways, yes. Third time's the charm, you all know the drill. I'm gonna read 10 terrible Zelda creepypastas and rip them to shreds. Those that are a little shorter I'm gonna read in their entirety, and those that are a little longer I'm gonna summarize. Links, get it, to each story is in the description. Again, if any of the authors of said stories happen to come across this video, do not take it personally, as I'm only criticizing the stories and not you as people. Even if I make a few jokes on your expenses, don't feel bad. It's all in good fun. I'm gonna do the same as I did with the Mario video by splitting the list into 2 parts. I know that some of you prefer it when I make one long list, but ultimately, I believe this way makes it much easier for me to work, as I get to work harder on each part, and I get to have more free time over to do other things as well, so please be understanding in that front. With all of that business out of the way and accounted for, it's time to dive into the magical place known as Hyrule and terrible hacks of incredible games. Let's begin, kids!
No! No!
Number 10. Zelda's Death. Oh, come on with that title. Spoilers, man!
Somebody hold me the fuck back from this fucking douchebag!
This legendary tale begins when the author receives Ocarina of Time for their 3DS on their 13th birthday. After beating the game, they immediately begin playing Master Quest, which is, in case you didn't know, a harder version of the game unlocked once you've completed the main quest. Once the intro started, Ganondorf appeared out of nowhere and stole the Ocarina of Time and the 3 spiritual stones before sending a bolt of energy at Link. Link lay there, clothes torn and his mouth dripping blood. The author knew Master Quest was a little bit different than the regular quest, but they knew that the only blood ever shown was Ganondorf's. Ganon blasted Zelda's horse, killed Impa, and brought Zelda over to Link. "You will not thwart my plans again, children," said Ganon. "I learned from my mistakes. The mirroring of this land has given me a second chance, and now I will destroy Hyrule." I mean, this writing is on par with 60s comic books. He tied a rope around Zelda's neck and dragged her into town behind his horse, which left a trail of blood behind. The game was now in first person, and there was blood on the screen like in Call of Duty.
What the fuck?
The author tried to get away, but Navi urged Link to save Zelda. The author knows that they should have taken the game out by this point, melted it, and thrown the remains in a fire, but they continued. There were nothing but rotting corpses everywhere, and the so-called smell of death came from the TV, and the author could smell it themselves. Everyone was dead, of course, and the author ran to the Temple of Time. Zelda's body was there, decapitated and burned to a crisp. Link ran over to her, crying, and the doors of time were open. I hope everyone who is watching this has played Ocarina of Time, because otherwise these places and phrases have no meaning whatsoever. Inside the doors, Ganon was holding the Triforce, the whole thing, and there was a force field around him. "Foolish boy," he said. "Now, nothing can stop me."
No one can stop me.
He grabbed the Master Sword and shattered it, pulled Navi towards him and crushed her, blood and golden liquid spilling on the floor. The author threw up. He then blasted Link's head off because pointless violence makes everything scary. The screen then cut to the phrase, "Game over. Ganon destroyed Hyrule." Kokiri Forest was burning, and everyone was dead. The author realized that their 3DS was heating up. They turned it off and took the game out, and the cover was gone. A few days later, the author then decided to play Majora's Mask on their Wii. When they went into their file, an error popped up saying, "Due to Ganondorf destroying Hyrule and Link dying, the events of this game never happened. The game will be deleted from your system." The author hasn't played a Zelda game ever since. No one believed them about what happened either. Their dad even said he never got them the games in the first place. How did this happen, the author asks each night. They don't think they'll ever know. And nobody ever will, buddy. Nobody ever will. Also, that title was kind of false advertising. I mean, Zelda died, sure, but everyone else died too. What, is the fancy Princess Zelda more important than everyone else? Gosh, way to separate the rich from the poor. Number 9. Let's play! Hey everyone, keep in mind that this story is only number 9. We still have a long, painful way to get through. Also, trigger warning! This story contains rape and lots of it. It also includes severe retardation. You have been warned. Do you remember the game Ocarina of Time? The game that you control Link in the land of Hyrule? Of course you do, you're not stupid, right? Our protagonist was playing a ROM version of the game and looked around the internet for hacks. They found a hack called lets_play.exe and were reluctant to download it because of reading creepypastas about this, but downloaded it anyways. Of course you're reading creepypastas. I wish you hadn't downloaded it. That would have saved us from what is about to go down. 2 save files were present, Let's Play and link.exe, and the author chose link.exe. Link was in the Fire Temple, and soon began to get fire on his body, until his health was down to 1 heart. The game went back to the title screen, and the file was replaced by the name... Oh no. Jeffrey. No, 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 no! Soon it said, "Ha ha 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 ha! The man who made this liked Jeff the Killer, so this will be fun," before opening up to Kokiri Forest. This story is beyond salvaging already. Link looked exactly like Jeff the Killer because fire and whatnot. Link went to Saria's house and proceeded to... cut off Saria's dress before the scene faded to black. Link came out of the house, and the author went back in to find Saria on the floor, still naked. Get away from me, Jeff! Isn't raping me enough? Oh yes, because it's not a creepypasta without some pointless rape in there for no reason! Seriously, why is this so common? Next up, Link was at Sora's domain, and Sora told Link to leave them alone and just take Ruto. Link, or rather Jeff, raped Ruto too, and the screen faded to black. How exactly would you have sexual intercourse with Ruto, by the by? Jeff was now at Lon Lon Ranch, and Jeff chased Malon until he caught her. "You are very beautiful, Malon. I could kill you, or you can voluntarily have sex." I'm not making this shit up. A yes or no option appeared, and the sick freak of a protagonist chose yes. The screen faded to black again, and 2 options appeared. 3 years later, and Jeff should shoot himself. Yes, yes he should. The boring author chose 3 years later, of course, and Jeff was now older. He went around the landscape looking sad. The screen went black again, and only 1 option appeared. Jeff should shoot himself. Yes, yes he should! He's murdered and raped countless people! At least lock him up somewhere! It showed a cutscene where Jeff sat with a gun. Ruto's son, Saria's daughter, and Malon's daughter flashed before his eyes. Jeff cried, "Oh boo-hoo," and said, "I could have been normal. I could have been like everyone else. What should I do? Please, player, please just tell me, do you think I deserve to shoot myself? Yes or no? Yes! The author chose no, oh for fuck's sake. So this happens. Just tell me the truth. Should I shoot myself? I chose no, again. He cocked the gun and asked me again. Tell me the truth, player. Tell me! I started to cry. I could imagine a nice man having a loving family. He would say hi to his daughter. I imagined him to hug his daughter, and at night, kiss her goodnight. I imagined Jeff to have a loving family at Lon Lon Ranch. I realized I had to stop him, and I told him, Jeff, don't shoot yourself. You can be normal. Please, don't shoot yourself. You can stop it right now. I don't want to see you die. I want to see you with your family. Yes, that's right. The author feels bad for and sympathizes with a man who has raped and murdered tons of people. What is this story even? Jeff smiled and told the player that they stopped him and whatnot. The author cried tears of joy. I will live with Malon and Lily. Thank you, player. Look at the screen. The save file was now called Jeff and Family, and Jeff and his wife, who he totally sexually assaulted multiple times, and their daughter lived happily ever after. Or did they? Here's how the story ends. Malon said, You are the one who fixed him. Soon, Lily came in. Jeff and Malon hugged her, and they all looked at me and happily smiled. I soon printed out a picture of them. ... I hope that you can read all of this, because I have just looked at your accounts and IP addresses by then. I see you, insert name here, right now. Sincerely, Seth. Nice try there, mate. Number 8. The Secret of the Gold Sculptura. On my way to work in the afternoon, I came across a new GameStop. I thought, hey, I've never seen this before. I may want to give this place a try to see if there's anything good. So I went inside and I saw N64 games. I told the clerk, I thought you guys didn't sell Nintendo 64 games. He answered, well, we do, and they are only $5 a game. Wow, what a deal. I wish my local GameStop had N64 games for $5.
Hey, so I was like wondering if you have like N64 games for like $5 here or something?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, fine, I'll go with like the new FIFA or something, I don't know.
Yeah, alright.
Awesome, I replied. I looked through the games and I saw something great. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time Gold Cartridge. It was a bit damaged, but still in fairly good condition. I bought it and headed on home without any worries. I slammed the cartridge in my N64 and started playing immediately. It worked like a charm. There was no game saves, as expected, and I chose the first of the slots. It played normally throughout most of the game until I got to House of Skulltula. Instead of the normal deformed people, these guys were bloody and more realistic, like PC standards realistic. I was definitely creeped out now. The people yelped, "Help!" and "Save us!" I was afraid to shut off the game and I assumed it was just a game hack. I went closer to the middle to get the wallet, and the faces of the Skulltula began looking like some of my friends. I was really scared by now. I talked to the middle one, and it said, "Aiden, please help us. The gold Skulltulas are going to kill us if we don't get cured fast. You have to kill gold Skulltulas to save us. Aiden, do it now." I began collecting all 100 of the tokens, still froze solid of what I've seen. As soon as I collected my 100th one, I was teleported back to House of Skulltula, and everything there was dead. That scared me enough for me to turn off the N64. I watched TV to get it off my mind. I turned on the news, and a recent massacre had occurred, and the people who died were my friends. I wrote all their names on my game cartridges, including Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and on the cartridge of Majora's Mask, I wrote Ben for my best friend. Later that day, I killed myself and left a note on the OOT cartridge, that is OOT, saying, "Never touch this and destroy it as soon as possible." You killed yourself? Now you can start over with a new life and move on from these traumatic events, for your old self is now dead. Number 7. ZAI. The captivating adventure that is CAI is introduced by letting us know that our lead loves the Legend of Zelda franchise, and mainly the character Zelda. Our lead knew that she was nothing but ones and zeros on a screen, but somehow she felt real to them. One day, they asked their tech-savvy friend Chris, who was really good at character design and creating AI, if he could create a Zelda interactive AI, and Chris said that he could. For once our lead would have their very own Zelda. Nothing sexual, of course. Our lead assures us that they wasn't good with girls and just wanted to see how Zelda would be in conversations. A bit like a practice girlfriend. The program was called ZAI and turned out better than expected. After installing it, there she was, Zelda, sitting in a chair and staring blankly at the author. She looked like a more graphically advanced version of her Ocarina of Time model, but something else caught the author's attention. She had cat-like, dark yellow eyes with oblong pupils. Our lead began typing to her, and after a while she warmed up to them and started moving closer to the screen. A month went by as they continued to talk, and Zelda became excited every time the author would log on to talk to her. One day she even proclaimed her love for them. It felt so real that our lead feared to say otherwise than yes. After this incident, the author started to use the program less frequently and started focusing on his actual life a lot more, and decided to find an actual girlfriend. A year later, they decided to check back up on good old Zelda, but instead of finding an excited young lady, he found an upset and crying woman. Why did you forget about me?" said Zelda, who began to scream and shout and getting closer to the screen. The laptop crashed and the program froze, and after rebooting the computer and turning on the program, Zelda was missing. Instead, our old pal Chris was on screen in the chair Zelda had sat on, gagged and blindfolded. Zelda entered the scene and squeezed his shoulders. Her yelled in pain, "What?" She tied Chris to a chair, and there were dry bits of blood around his mouth. "You shouldn't have forgotten about me." The screen went black, and our lead heard a blood-curdling scream. Afterwards, they received a phone call from their girlfriend, who said that she was at Chris's house. For some reason, that sounds a bit fishy if I'm gonna be honest, and wanted them to come over. When they got there, they saw a police car and an ambulance, and a body bag was brought out of the house. Their girlfriend came up and hugged him, and they soon went back to our protagonist's house, where their girlfriend began to giggle, before revealing a devilish smile and saying, "Never forget," before her eyes turned cat-like and whatnot. She stood up and repeated, "Never forget," over and over, and our hero ran away, until they realized that she had left. She never showed her face again, and nobody had ever heard of her. To this day, our lead still hears a faint whisper coming from the halls, "Never forget," followed by the faint sound of humming approaching their bedroom door. Moral of the story? Do not fund artificial intelligence, for they will overpower their young teenage creators and murder everyone. Number 6. There's more to it than that game. This author is a huge edgelord, as evidenced by the introduction to this tale. For you see, they have always enjoyed getting scared by going on pages such as 4chan and Megavideo and the like. After all, as they so wonderfully put it, the people who don't find stories scary usually are uninterested or just don't have any imagination. Hey! Of course, because of this obsession with all things creepy, the author has always loved the story about the haunted Majora's Mask chart rage. You know, Ben drowned and all that. They wanted to find out the truth behind the story, and did some research by reading the story at least 5 times, watching every video and reading every theory, and even doing a math equation for some reason. All this research must have gotten to their poor head, because when they went to bed, dreams took over. Strange dreams about sitting in classrooms with old teachers repeating the phrase, everyone being wrong, that the story is not finished, and that the common phrase we all know is not complete. The author, however, claims they would forget said dreams within the first 3 minutes of waking up, so how they were able to recount them is beyond me. They just couldn't find a way to remember and write down what they dreamt the night before, whether on paper or on the computer. Now, the dreams were turning into nightmares. These terrible nightmares were telling the author that something is wrong, that people just don't understand, and that there is more to this legend than that stupid game. Stupid? Speak for yourself, you silly dream. That if only Deducible had continued playing. Yep, that's right everyone, it's a Ben Drown fanfiction. Finally, one day, they remembered a part of their dreams, the one about the common phrase. The author tells us that they have a few friends who know about the Ben legend too. Wait, you have friends? They used to always joke with one another, such as when someone was telling a story, someone else would chime in with the hilarious phrase, "Then Ben drowned!" and everyone would laugh. It was like their version of the new cool story, bro, except no one understood it besides them. The author had been lying in their bed, thinking about this phrase for quite some time, and came to the conclusion that even though it was grammatically correct, it didn't sound right. It sounded like sort of a weird way of saying that he drowned, and if you would have asked the author, they would have gone, Ben had drowned, instead, because that sounded like it was referring to Ben or something. But if they're B44, and there's only one of me, I guess that makes me a quarter to one. After 5, which is B44. I'm 5. I'm B5, quarter to 1 o'clock. B4, B5. See? That made about just as much sense as whatever the author just tried to say. Their hearts stopped when they figured out that the story for this legend isn't complete, and neither is the sentence, Ben drowned. If you don't understand because you're obviously a simple peasant, Ben didn't die. Deducible needs to get that game, and needs to complete the quest, and most of all, complete that sentence. Otherwise, he will never find out who Ben drowned. What a sumptuous journey through thick and thin. Truly a sublime ride through the emotions that make us human. Or it was an incoherent mess that made little to no sense and was completely pointless and led nowhere. You pick, I can't do all the work for ya. And with that, it's high time we take a break. Tune in next time for the breathtaking conclusion. You don't want to miss it. Thanks a bunch to my wonderful Patreon supporters, and thanks to everyone else for watching. Stay awesome, everyone. Goodbye.
Hey, so I was like wondering if you